So my plan this year is to plant the front yard with a load of clover, kick up the dead stuff, try and scratch in a load of clover seed right here in the front. Then back here from about this line, I want to plant wildflower here. I don't know how well it'll do with the grass already here, but I'm going to scratch up the lawn as best I can, throw some wildflower seed in there, maybe a bit of sunflowers further back here as well. I think this sort of ground here will scratch up pretty well. The leach field is here, so all I'm going to do is use a dethatcher and drag that round. Just sort of try and scratch the surface of the ground, get the seeds in, and we'll see what it looks like. Biggest asset that most people have that they can help wildlife with is their lawn, so I may as well do some of that myself. Plenty of clover and dandelions in here already, but wouldn't hurt to have a bit more pollinating, more plants to pollinate. I am just out in the backyard at the moment and just having a look at the goldenrod, and things seem to be changing. Up until yesterday, I hadn't seen any bees on the early goldenrod yet. I did see them this morning, and they were getting plenty of pollen. But now we're seeing something different. Bees are all over the goldenrod, and they're getting nectar. Now, this doesn't mean there's a honey flow on here yet, but this is a very promising sign. This early species of goldenrod rarely produces a nectar flow, but we have had so much rain that maybe this year things will be different. But I have bees all over this goldenrod in really high concentrations, and you normally only get that if there's something there for them. And as opposed to this morning where they were just collecting up pollen, these bees are sticking their tongues right in the flower and appear to be getting nectar. And when there's that many of them doing it, that is a promising sign. Oh, by the way, in my area where I've been planting seeds out in the back here, I'm not having a great deal of flowers yet. It took a while to get things going, but it should be good in the long run. I see plenty of things like poppies and things coming up, and some of my sunflowers. I planted a lot of sunflowers, but the chipmunks got the bulk of them. But with any luck, we'll be getting some sunflowers coming up pretty soon. So that is this sort of area in the back of my house, about a quarter acre or so of area I'm going to let grow, and we'll see what comes of it. My hives aren't far away, so you'd expect that any flowers producing nectar will absolutely be covered with bees. I was in a walk in the way in the back last night, and in the evening there were still bees, some of which were on that goldenrod. But look at them all on that goldenrod. Most of them with their tongues down in there getting nectar. and cloudy mornings, the bees are not flying much in the mornings, but they're just starting to fly now. But while I'm here, I just wanted to show you my wildflower area of my yard. It's coming along quite nicely, and funnily enough, when I was looking at these flowers a couple of minutes ago, all these poppies had 2 or 3 or 4 honeybees on them. There's a few here. Some of the purple stuff down there. Some of the orange ones over there. But also we've got some sunflowers just about to pop. And a variety of plants out here at the moment. So it's coming along. My wife says it looks a mess, which is true. It does look a mess. But just think, all that lack of mowing, no need to mow. There's some very nice flowers. I wouldn't mind, when we've got a few more, I will actually pick some, so maybe I will repay the debt somehow that way. But there are some really lovely ones. I don't know what they're called. They're in my seed mixes that I put out here. But it'll be nice when those sunflowers are out. But we're just starting to see some of the pop of color from these various flowers that I've planted. So hopefully it'll just show what we can do with a small patch of grass, which is otherwise, I mean, basically we don't use this part of the lawn, so we may as well let the bees use this part of the lawn. Do you want to go for a walk? Do you want to go for a walk? Come on. Come on, Chloe. This way. Hi, I'm Peter Cowan, the Bee Whisperer. I thought I'd take a walk out back and have a look at see what the bees are doing, where they're getting some of their food from. But I wish the camera had a smell attachment as well as improved sound. I don't know where we're going to get that. I'll have to ask Eric Danboys about that one. But right now you can smell the goldenrod honey being cured. So take a deep breath. It actually is a mixture of goldenrod and something else. It's actually quite not bad smelling at all. Goldenrod can often smell like sweaty socks. There's a hint of that, but it's certainly plenty of smell in the area of curing nectar. So we're certainly getting more and more into a honey flow. So let's walk around the yard and then head out back. The girls know the way to avoid the electric fence. After a couple of yelps, they soon learn what the yellow and black wire means. It's about 85 degrees. Looks like there's some threat of thunderstorms today, but beautiful day. And just look at this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 honeybees on that head of goldenrod. 1, 2, 3, 4 on this head of goldenrod. They are busy. And notice how they've got their tongues right down into the flower, which means they're collecting nectar there, whereas this one is collecting pollen. Starting to get the asters, but these ones aren't really producing anything of right now. This species doesn't seem to. The earliest species of goldenrod is starting to fade, and that's not producing much. What have you found down there, Chloe? I think she's hunting for frogs. You a happy girl? Oh yeah. Oh yeah. It really is quite a glorious day. And the bees are busy. These ones are collecting pollen. See how they quickly move through. They're also getting nectar, sticking their tongue into the flowers, collecting nectar. But notice the little bags of pollen on their legs as well. In Maine here, we are blessed with a good deal of goldenrod and asters in the fall. And even if they don't produce much nectar, they almost always produce a lot of pollen. So our bees are certainly able to go into the winter having really had the opportunity to feed up on a lot of good quality pollen. But this year they seem to be getting a bit of nectar along with it. And here's one of the benefits of having had the wettest July on record. Look at all those blackberries. I just so happen to have brought a bag with me, so I think I'll collect a few of them. So when we were out on a walk last night, you could hear, well, sorry, not hear the bees, you could smell that goldenrod being cured, and okay, we really do have a flow getting going here. And today is really confirming it. We've got some good heat, and the bees are busy. And you can smell it as you're walking around the yard. And there goes Daisy. That's going to make for an interesting video. I'm going to see what that looks like. Or at least to me it'll be interesting. Hope you folks are enjoying it. But, we'll see what the dogs do when my back is turned. There's certainly plenty of thorns on these things. I'm not going to take every single one. But this piece of land is developing very nicely for the bees. We've got 5 acres back here. Obviously I've got the pond, and the area was mostly cleared of trees just before we moved in. And a lot of the understory now has really been growing back nicely for 5 years, and as a result we've got a lot of blackberries, a lot of raspberries, a lot of other berries which I don't know what they are. In fact, I will point them out when I pick this lot. I'm going to point it out, and maybe you can tell me if I'm missing a real opportunity or not, because we've got some beautiful looking berries, but for all I know they're poisonous, so I really don't know what they are. Let's have a look. These things, what are they? There's clearly going to be plenty of purple berries for a little while here as they ripen. I haven't a clue what they are. These are the leaves, but it'd be interesting to know if they're edible or not. But we have loads of them. Obviously the bees were busy pollinating them in the spring as well. But blackberries, goldenrod, weird purple berries, all sorts of stuff, really producing quite a bit. So the bees were clearly busy with that stuff in the spring. Look at all these bees. They are happy girls. Where's Daisy gone, huh, Chloe? What have you done with Daisy? Daisy! Probably in the pond. Oh, nope, there she is. A good girl. Coming when I call you, huh? It's a lovely little walk. I have to come around here with the lawnmower every couple of weeks to keep this path passable. But it does make for a lovely, interesting walk during the all times of year. It will be producing blackberries for a week or two yet. Oh, you got a stick, huh? A stick. Oh. Right at the back of the yard now, and it's still thick with bees back here. Very thick with the smell of goldenrod here too. I have to come out here with a machete. Path is getting a little bit overrun already. It's a bit tough on the legs with short pants on. It's not just honeybees that benefit from this goldenrod. There's a lot of different species on it. A lot more blackberries in there, but I'm not going to crawl through the hedges to get them. I've got enough in the bag already, I think. That on top of the pint I picked yesterday. Very nice. Banquet for the bees. You two having a good time? You two having a good time? Now, are you going to swim in the pond or the pool? Oh, I think I know. Yep. Can hear them splashing. Yes, the exuberance of youth. Very good. Well, let's head back. Probably got enough blackberries. I'll bet the bees are happy here too, getting all sorts of water from the wet ground. hard to see them when they're not moving, but there are dozens of bees along the bank here getting water from the moss, which is in the water. Lots and lots of bees. We have a storm coming, and we are due to get about 3.5 inches of rain in the next 24 hours or so. So the bees are not going to be getting much today. But I wanted to show you, before it gets knocked down with wind or anything like that, just how my backyard is coming along. This all used to be a lawn here, but there's a few asters that have grown up in the way. Just look at the color here. Absolutely beautiful. Really come along nicely. This part of the yard has turned out way better than I thought it might, or at least as good as I thought, to be honest. But they've come along really nicely, and the bees have been really enjoying it. Now this part has always, the grass has hardly ever grown here much. Very often, I mean, the leach field goes for the house goes in that area, but it's all very shallow, and because we had a lot of rain this year, things have grown really well. I wouldn't be surprised that in most years this wouldn't grow, but this area was really hard. I didn't really manage to get many seeds in the ground, so they didn't really sprout well, but there's still a lot of stuff coming up. I didn't plant things like the goldenrod here, but that's still coming up. But there's still a lot more plants that are coming in, which will be flowering soon. So this will still be looking pretty good. One thing I'm learning what to do. I don't have the tools, so I don't have equipment to turn up the lawn particularly well. So I had to just basically scratch in the seeds. And what I did in this nice line of very small sunflowers is basically I did a loop. I went round and round and round and round, just tearing up the lawn there, and just planted some sunflowers. And this is the part that the chipmunks didn't eat, because I went in a loop. Let's see, I went in a loop around here, over there, then came back around. You can see there's a few sunflowers there, but the chipmunks ate everything up along there because they were living in those trees and stuff. So they didn't do, not much came through over there. It was also shaded a bit, but then coming back down around here, it worked really well. And I didn't get this done until, say, mid-June. So what I'll be doing is next year I'm going to scratch this up a lot more. In fact, I may even, well, I don't think Anna will let me put a big tarp out here to let me kill the grass just here. Maybe I'll be allowed to just before it snows. Because it wouldn't look good for a while, and it's visible to the road. But I really love this area to be more full of flowers next year. So what I'll just do is, from early spring, I'll start tearing up the lawn with that. I just got a little dethatcher to put on the back of the lawnmower, so I could just scrape and scrape and scrape. And if I don't wait until later and too late, and I might be able to do it before the grass really gets going, the more I can tear it up, the more likely I am to get some more seeds in the ground. But I'm really pleased with this. It looks great. Makes for some great cut flowers as well. So we've had some nice cut flowers here. Unfortunately, the wind and things are starting to blow them over, so it's past what was looking the best. Yeah, a lot of it's knocked down now. And of course that may also be critters coming in here, because I thought there was less upright here than there were. Yep, so we've got, maybe I should pick them. But I'm overall very, very pleased. It's some beautiful stuff in here. Hopefully a lot of it will seed, and when I cut it, mow it all down and sort of scratch it into the ground, maybe those seeds will take off next year as well. We'll see. At any rate, just a little bit of lawn that we never use as a lawn back here, so the bees are benefiting from it. I mean, it's a tiny scratch in the ocean, really. It's not a drop in the ocean, really. It's nothing compared to the colony, what the colonies need. But there is a great feel-good factor about planting a diversity of flowers in there and seeing the bees working it. So whilst it's not perfect, I like it better than a lawn anyway. And a lawn is probably the single biggest thing that folks can do with assets that they currently have. If you've got a lawn with grass on it, well, that's a desert for bees. But a lawn with a lot of flowers mixed in it and let it grow for a few months of the year, that can be a nice little boost of pollen. Now, if you only got 2 or 3 hives, this little bit of flowers might make a little bit of an impact. Now, I've got 40 hives out back here, so it's not going to make much of an impact, but it just shows what you can do with a small space there. And if I did it better, it could have been much more beneficial to the bees. And I think it looks great. Another delivery of sugar yesterday, which I used a good chunk of this already. Tis the season for making sugar syrup. So I will be taking sugar syrup and open feeders out to my yards now, taking off any of the remaining honey supers, and specifically, where possible, putting the feeders directly on the hives. Now that the Formic Pro treatment is done in the yards as I go through them now, we're able to start using internal feeders. And so that's going to be the jobs now. Over the next week, all of the honey supers are coming off and feeders are going on. Open feeders are getting charged up and hive top feeders getting charged up. Open feeders you should only do where you know you're not really influencing neighbors or being influenced by neighbors, because it certainly is a potential way for transmitting viruses and mites and other pests that way, bacteria. So open feeding should be done with care. So you want to know what you're doing when you're open feeding. But hive top feeding can start now that the Formic Pro is coming off. Looks like we're going to have a much later frost this year than we've had in the past. So hopefully flowers will keep blooming. A little natural nectar is coming in. Plenty of natural pollen is coming in. And this will all be supplemented by the sugar syrup. Hives that already have a double deep, generally speaking, have plenty of honey in there already. They're going to need 10 to 20 pounds topping up, maybe 30 pounds topping up. Whereas the colonies with single deeps and just nukes, they're going to need anything from 20 pounds to 60 pounds, 70 pounds of sugar syrup going in there. So that's today's job.